What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. And today, what I want to do is I want to have a quick conversation. I know it's late at night. This is infomercial hours, but it is what it is. I want to have a conversation about, well, you see the title, not being cheap versus not overpaying, and the price of the dating market and holding your value. So here's the thing. You all know me. I listen to quite a few different people when it comes to stuff like this. But this video is really going to be in reference to Jason Black's video, his whole logic video. You should definitely subscribe to that channel. Like I always say, if you all want to hear Jason Black break stuff down, this like kind of this pretty much white supremacy free, but you want to hear him break down the game as he knows it, or then definitely check out The Business. Type in Jason Black The Business in YouTube search. It'll come up. It'll be the Bugatti car, and he's got a whole bunch of really good videos in there. Some stuff definitely worth listening to, downloading MP3 and going through, sharing it. um it's pretty much his after hours, the channel. So y'all should definitely swell that up because he gives a lot of really good gems. This is something though. One thing that Jason Black does, he makes a lot of veiled references, and he's clearly making that to this vague thing he calls the manosphere, or that we call a manosphere. And I'm gonna keep it real. It is what it is, but he clearly likes to turn his nose. It's funny because he does the same. He kind of does the same thing that he says the dead black media does with him, Tariq, and Professor Black Truth. But it is what it is. I can know what I know and not be in my feelings about what somebody else says. I can take what I agree with, what I add caveats to, and let somebody have their opinion. And that should be a lesson. I'm seeing, and on a side note, I'm seeing a lot of people. I'll say this. I don't know BGS like personally, but y'all don't really know what BGS is gonna do. He could be taking a hiatus from social media, which he's been going hard doing these damn things consistently, week over week over week, for like almost 3-4 years now. Doing videos like 3-4 years now consistently. So I don't know what he's gonna do. People could take a break. He could never come back again. He could come back in a different way, like maybe on people's stuff, as a guest, stuff like that. Just have a kind of rebalancing of how he approaches it. There's a lot of different things that can happen, and so you don't know. But I'm seeing a lot of people, some of which that I've kind of fucked with from a distance. I'll say that, not necessarily people I've actually picked up the phone and talked to. Then now they want to. I've had to unfriend people because they want to come at why BGS has been defeated. Why does it do this? I mean, you niggas look stupid. You niggas look weak, and you niggas look like it ain't even. I'm not even talking about trolls in the best way. You look like trolls in the literal, them little troll baby doll things. Like y'all literally look stupid. It's kind of like somebody. I remember when Yvette Carr. One of the things I've never let this go for Yvette Carnell is when Dr. Francis Quest Welsing died. And I mean, this is somebody that like that's a real one if there was ever a real one, as far as Malcolm X level realness, right? And she a lot of stuff she said was true. She called it when I say decades, I'm talking about 3-4 decades ago. Like the quintessential example of what a black academic really should be, and quite frankly, why we need to basically put money behind our academics. Anyway, shout out to Dr. Tia Stein Johnson as well, and others doing kind of moving in that vein. But when he died, it was two people. It was a black dude. I forget his name. He was a dude who used to be on CNN a lot, considered like the younger dudes coming up on CNN. And he later on got like ousted from them. Mark Lamont Hill. And then you had Yvette Carnell. And they all wanted to basically throw her name under the bus, trying to make it look like she was homophobic. Now, these are people that for different reasons, and Mark Lamont Hill is not gay. I don't know about Yvette Carnell. And it is what it is. I just don't know. And they wanted to cape for the LGBT community because that's who's paying them right now. This is that hyper individualism I'm talking about too, where you look for who's paying you now in the short term and not looking at long term stuff that, quite frankly, should operate outside of that sometimes. And they pounced on this woman, even though this woman ain't said nothing to nobody directly as far as black people. And they waited till the day after she died, they started talking shit. I've never, and Professor Black True has done a video on that, Jason Blackhats, and I've never let that go. So when people want to come up with the ADOS shit, this is why I've always said, okay, I'm cool with ADOS or this idea of, foundational Black Americans, the idea that us separating our own concerns as a voting block, because it fits along with things I've always said anyway. But I'm not necessarily really vibing with Yvette and Tone. Now, I've always said, okay, I'll give them credit to the extent that I know they came up with it, but they didn't. Now that I'm starting to find that out. But my point is, I want to be civil about it. But I've never let that go. Because shit like that, there's certain things that you can do you can't take back. Like, black people have this thing about this New Testament forgiveness, and I'm an Old Testament Christian. There's certain things you just can't take back. You're going to have to pay the penalty that fits the crime. And if you're not willing, and regardless, I still don't have to take it back. Forgive. I don't believe in forgiving everything. There's certain things that shouldn't be forgiven, and there's, in the corporations, they call it zero tolerance, and everything is at zero tolerance. But there's certain things that are zero tolerance, and black people don't have something. They don't have the discipline of really applying zero tolerance to things, except for things that, quite frankly, don't matter. If we emotionally, like, if something doesn't really get on our emotions, then they're not going to apply zero tolerance to it. They'll make these fake ass exceptions. Let's see. So I just wanted to divulge from that real quick while I let some people jump in the room. I see 19 people in here late at night. Check in with a like, check out with a thing. Big Oriental James says LGBT ain't paying Yvette. I'm not saying they're paying them. First of all, let's keep this all the way real. Black people don't always get paid in most time. Black people don't get paid in dollars. They get paid in shit that doesn't matter, like attention or shit like that. So the point is, this is my point, because I don't want to get too deep in those weeds. Yvette criticized, you can go look it up. Yvette Carnell and Mark Lamont Hill criticized Dr. Frances Quest Welsing because of, quote unquote, the ISIS papers and other things she put that they said was borderline homophobic. When in fact, what she was doing was giving an honest assessment of, this is where we are. We're talking about back in the 60s and 70s. This is where we are. This is where we're going. She debated white folks, white academics that really tried to throw black people under the bus from a perspective of like the fake pseudoscience saying that we're inferior. And she basically fought those battles proving with those white academics that really want to embed that stuff in academia. And this is where a lot of these conversations came up. You can go look them up if you want to. And Yvette Carnell basically criticized her for that. Doesn't matter if she's getting paid. The point is, sometimes it's not about if you're getting paid. It's about if you're looking to be a suitor of somebody. And when Yvette and Tone, you see how quick they were to say we believe in voting for the Democrats, knowing what the Democratic Party represents, and not having a Switzerland approach saying I'm gonna be neutral. That was my point. That is where it starts. That is where it ends. Do not get off topic by saying dumb shit. Oh, okay. Big Game Orenthal. I definitely understand that she was out of pocket, so don't get like off of it. But like I said, my point is, you got people that are out here trying to claim victory on people. And it's like, dude, y'all got to let people have their opinions and be good with their opinions. Just because you all can't beat somebody's logic does not mean that y'all need to start making people the enemy and all that. A lot of that shit is some incel shit. It really is. And it is what it is. It's really some fucking social. It's like I don't know how to take in the meat with the bones. I need somebody to emotionally validate me. And you know me, I have my opinions and my opinions. I've never needed somebody emotionally validate, because my opinions and my stuff comes from, I challenge my own shit. So I just wanted to make that side thought. But going back to the main topic, which is the date thing. So, he and to keep it real, he used to Jason Black used to do that with light skinned people too, where he'd make these veiled disses. And then, he usually a lot of, and what happened over time was he kind of came off of that a little bit, because he kind of realized the logic of Well, even if I have dark skin first tendencies, I need to get with people that's willing to move and move in an authentic way, because that is a valuable commodity, and that's not a commodity that's really out there like that. That's not a plentiful commodity. So am I really going to come at people that are honestly getting in line and doing the right shit? This is where he started to cape for Kaepernick, even though, Kaepernick has kind of done some questionable things at the time. But he was comparing what Kaepernick was kind of doing versus what a lot of your athletes do, where they turn into Negro bucks. This is why the NFL, by the way, has the weakest players union too, by the way, because of that same mentality. You can say what you want to about the flag, you say what you want to about Kaepernick and not liking him, but a lot of that mentality, if there was more NFL players that had it when it comes to these owners, they would have a better players union plan, even if they're not necessarily doing it for quote unquote white supremacy or Africanism. They don't hold the line, and that's one thing that a lot of other groups will do. This is why your baseball has like the best one, and football, they don't hold the line. They really don't, and that it makes them easily controlled. So, and it was the same thing he said with Stephen Curry, when he said sometimes the light skinned kid is the blackest kid in the room. Him acknowledging certain things that kind of needs to be acknowledged, and kind of coming off that light skin, dark skin shit, when that shit really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point, because if people are doing the work, that's what counts. I mention that only to mention that people change, people adjust on some of these things, and I've seen it. I've seen Tariq Nasheed adjust on certain things. That so people, so it is what it is. And I wanted to say that to preface what I'm about to say. So now what I'm about to say has to do with the title. So here's the thing. I look at everything like a pie chart. I look at things in aspects of ratios. Nothing is completely one way or the other way. It can be more one way or more the other way, but there's obviously elements of things you can find in everything. This idea, really, Nicole Michelle got this from Jason Black, even though she probably believed it, with the black men that don't want to pay for. Now they want to say, people want to say first dates now. And my personal thing is, if I take a woman out on a date, the first date, yeah, I'm paying for. And I typically pay for dates anyway, but the first date, I'm not even questioning that, because if I choose to take you out, then I'm not going to take you out if I'm not going to pay. That's just what it is. So that's a prerequisite for me anyway. But there's a difference between not wanting to, like most dudes are not out here saying, I'm not gonna take no bitch out, no matter who it is, I'm not gonna pay. That's not what most dudes are out here really saying. What most dudes are saying is, if I identify a female that will consistently, like, not even like every once in a while, because people do things every once in a while, we get it, we're human. But people that will consistently, which is most women now, whether they're black, white, or whatever, it's not just black women to do this, white women do this too. Black women just the most blatant about it and the most game goofy about it. They will consistently fuck dudes for free, but be single, and then think another dude is gonna be the dude to take them out on a date and pay money to like audition. It's like this. Okay, let's take a movie. I'm actually thinking this out loud. Let's take I was looking at this video that gave kind of a micro documentary of Vin Diesel talk when they were talking about a movie. They talk about how he got into Hollywood, and Vin Diesel did a lot of work, like really grind work, putting together some of his own stuff in order for him to kind of be seen, because they want to give the mulatto crying games, talk about, well, he couldn't fit into any stereotypes, so therefore it was harder for him to get roles, blah blah blah, before Pitch Black got him on, and he broke out as a star, gained the Fast and Furious, and then the rest is history. He had to do a lot of extraordinary stuff. Meghan Markle talked about this in order to kind of be seen and get picked for roles. And basically, what they were talking about was this idea of getting in what they call the audition black hole, where you're just auditioning, and you never really, because very few actors break, but you never really, quote unquote, break out or even get your shot to break out. These are the people that you see, they get put out for like a leading role, maybe for one or two movies. You never really see them again in that capacity. And it's kind of like that when you're Like when you're taking somebody on a date is not supposed to be a fucking audition. It's not. A man does not take a woman out on a date because he's auditioning to fuck. This is how modern women see that now. And the truth is, the what you're gonna get. This is, and I'm gonna tell you, this is not about saying what something is not complaining. People get on my fucking nerves where they say, "Oh, well, the fact that you're bringing it up by definition is somehow a breach of code," and that's you complaining. It's not complaining. It's basically putting the shit out there, and it's what the fuck is going on. That's no different than saying talking about white supremacy is complaining. You see how that works? Of course, a white man or non-black people that benefit from white supremacy would say that. So think about it. The same dudes, and you've heard them on the Rumble, you've heard them everywhere. They will say, and obviously there's limits to everything. It does get to a point where things can be borderline. You're complaining. I get that, but the same people that will say that if you talk about white supremacy, it's either you're making excuses or you're complaining. A lot of times, if these same people start talking about like a lot of the dynamics in the dating market, now all of a sudden you're complaining. That's always people that don't want to straight up address something because, quite frankly, if it doesn't matter, then people are not going to vibe to it anyway, or not going to make moves against it anyway. I just believe in putting everything on the table. So, with that being said, most modern women today, I'm talking mainly, and 80%, I argue 70, 80% of black women on the dating market today, they're playing this audition game. They're basically taking their pussy, understanding their pussy has value, and basically throwing it everywhere that they want to throw it at. So you got really two dudes. You got dudes that don't have to do anything, and then you got dudes that are like in this like audition market where like dudes that are getting roles just out the gate, showing up and getting roles, and you have dudes that are auditioning. And this kind of gives a metaphor of what I'm talking about. And they're constantly auditioning. That takes work and that takes energy to audition versus if you get to the point with a star, you're just basically, even if you're not a big star, but you're out of that market, you're just basically negotiating for how much does it cost, how much are you going to get paid? Are you going to get paid salary up front or points in behind, depending on how much a movie make? Shit like that. It's two completely different things. It's just like somebody that has to work a 9-to-5 job versus somebody has trust funds. Two completely different lanes. So what happens is you see dudes that it's like they can't even conceive the other side. They can't even conceive. So they start saying the same shit over and over again. Almost like it's like, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. And I'm not referring to Jason Black in what I'm about to say. But it's almost like talking to a white supremacist, like somebody that's not really a white supremacist. Like they're not an overt racist, like a liberal white supremacist. They're not an overt racist. It's like, dude, motherfuckers from Get Out. But they have certain concepts in their head that they have bought into so deeply that they might as well be a white supremacist. They're just not, when it comes down to it, that's what they are. It's just they would prefer not to do the dirty work of a white supremacist. But at the end of the day, mentally wise, that's where they are. That's pretty much where they are. It's just like, yeah, I got black friends. Yeah, I got this. Yeah, I got it. It's like a lot of, I hate to say this, like a lot of Boston white folks. Well, like some of them like to fuck with black people. They like to, like Jason Black and them would call them the yo blacks. Oh, yo white folks. Shout out to Professor Black Truth on that. But at the end of the day, like your Mark Wahlbergs, but at the end of the day, they got white supremacist tendencies. And they may not go hardcore on it, but when it comes down to it, if you really peel back the layers, and Mark Wahlberg's not a lot of layers, but when you peel back the layers, they may have a couple of black friends here or there, but no. Fucking with black people, it's like a fucking hobby with them. It's not somebody that they actually see as equals as partners, something like that. It's really like that. And these are a lot of these people, they, when you get them with white folks as a group, they switch up on you versus they may have some individual black friends here or there. A lot of black people can't like switch up from that. They can't tell the difference between those white folks. I can, so I know how to fuck with people, within the distance. I fuck with people to a certain extent. And a lot of black people give non-black people like trust that they shouldn't be giving. But yeah, I'll get back to Vin Diesel about that. Hey, what's up, Kobe? What's up? All of that. But yeah, man. So my point is, You have folks that it's like the black church. Like when you talk to people, they always have a mentality of like a church mentality, and they can't like come. It's like gravity trying to pull them out of that psychological construct. And it's not about them changing their opinions, but it's about them putting themselves in somebody else's shoes. And they always, and I've had conversations with certain people where you know they're it's funny, like their perception of what game is basically you being pre-qualified and you not fucking it up. Like they're 6 feet and somebody will come up to them and then they don't fuck up, like because they don't fumble their words, but they've been pre-qualified and they call that game. That's not game, but that's what they perceive it to be. And they can see and hear, and they can look at all the outcomes of all the complaining that black women are doing, that they've been doing for decades, all the outcomes, all the shit they say about black men, and motherfuckers know is not true to the extent that they say it. In the manosphere and in the black YouTube, it's been these women like have gone. Some of these women have videos just talking about why they deal with bad dudes. And when I say bad dudes, I'm talking about dudes that are long-term outcomes. It's not, it has, here's the thing I need y'all to understand. When I say somebody is bad, it has nothing to do with me saying I didn't get chosen. It's about saying we wouldn't have this conversation. The black manosphere conversation is only exists. Well, I won't say only, but mainly exists because as a counter response to all the shit that black women have stated as to why their relationships don't turn out the way they think they should. When you look at the black man is on the DL, the black man doesn't take care of his kids, the black man beats women, he doesn't protect his women. All of these things are really designed, and this is in the greater society too, because you see this with R. Kelly, you see this with Bill Cosby. It's always designed to point focus on one thing to keep something else in the shade. So white men, the white media will put black men out there as the face of drugs, as the face of whatever, in order for white people to be under the cover doing it. So they can do it in the shadows and not get the same penalties, whether it's social or legal, as black men get. This is why everything always falls downhill for us. There's an actual purpose to that. It's not just they hate black men and they do it. Part of it is that's why it's always us. But also it's always a purpose. And black women have done that in lockstep like every other group. They will sit there and all these excuses I just gave, look at what Oprah's doing. Oprah's been doing that. People are just now getting caught up with catching up to that shit. People are just now kind of people starting to ask questions about that. But Oprah's been doing that. You know, and that's kind of like a microcosm of what you see anyway. It's this, say it's the black man's fault, so I don't have to be accountable to my own outcomes. So people don't ask me, well, why am I choosing this? Well, dudes don't take care of their children. Well, do you pick dudes that are good fathers? Like, where is that on your priority list? You just think that a random dick is supposed to magically transform into a great father. This is where I did my video, Don't Kiss Frogs, expecting them to turn into princes, which I need to do a follow-up on that. So my point is, you know, when you hear people say all this shit and they basically give all of these excuses, this is addressing that. Be like, you clearly are not happy with your outcomes. This is not well, you're living happily ever after and you're happy with your shit. You haven't complained. And then dude just randomly came out of nowhere talking about, well, this is why this is fucked up, because I'm not happy and you're happy. No, black women are not happy. I would argue black men are more happier than black women. All these, and black men are sitting there breaking down the quote unquote complaints that they make and say, no, this is the other side to that story. This is the truth. You sitting there talking this bullshit about this doesn't happen the way I want it to because quite frankly, it's the dudes you're choosing. And then people will flip that and say, oh, well, you're complaining. No, it's not complaining, because it's only complaining if I'm answering what the fuck they're talking about. I asked Obsidian this. I said, Obsidian, would you even have a platform if black women weren't complaining about their outcomes? Because if you notice how he talks, he's always talking from the perspective of they don't have the outcomes they want. This is what they say. This is what it is. And he said straight up, he wouldn't. He says that's where his power really comes from. He admitted to that. And it's nothing to admit to, it's common sense. when they say all this stuff they don't have, like, or the black man does it, like, think of the April Mason thing and this other thing, the Carol Sanchez bullshit, with the black men don't protect black women, and now people are trying to come out and say, well, even though she lied, and this is the second time that, like, you people start to pay attention to this, even though that's a lie, this is why y'all should still care anyway. No, y'all need to address that lying shit. So my point is, to come back to that, is people will always talk about the complaining as a way to deflect from really what the point is being said. And at the end of the day, this is why I always will default to, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. Because clearly you're less happy with the outcomes than I am. So if you don't want to talk about it, then let's not talk about it. You just go where you at, I go where I am, and let's see who lasts the longest. Because even now, outside the manosphere, you don't really see men complaining like that. But you can look at multiple sectors of YouTube. Like, the manosphere is not that large. It's really not. Like, the female version of black YouTube, the end of this sector, is far more bigger, far more subscribers, because it's far more energy in it. So anyway, coming back to the title, let me break off a little bit and then see what y'all putting in the chat. Closed mouth don't get fed. Say HR 40 bill has been completely rewritten. New representatives and all. ADOS and FBA isn't going to work. I don't know what you're talking about with that. I mean, what you're essentially saying is, you see, the problem with folks that say things like this is they expect politics to be like a fast food restaurant. Politics is an intergenerational conversation. LGBT rights were not gotten in one election cycle. I know it may seem the fuck that way, but that's not what happened. A lot of these things don't happen in just one election cycle. And the problem is, y'all are not there for the long term. And motherfuckers know that. That's why motherfuckers don't take you seriously. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest metric to see if somebody's really serious is how much money they're willing to put up as a group. And the problem with black people is black people don't want to put up their money for politics. And we can't even have that conversation because we got too many motherfuckers that want to talk about what we need to be given the economics in order to put the money up to control politics, which is fucking stupid. Because why would somebody that's invested in you being where you are help you get out of it? That makes no fucking sense. But that's the type of shit that people say. So when people say FBA and ADOS does not work, what do you mean does not work? Like, so you're saying voting for your own, this is that, well, we really need to be linked with somebody else talk. No, that's why we are where we are. That's basically insanity, because that's what black people have been doing. It's where that fucking people of color shit comes from. Yo, what up, Art? She is angling for influence and power in the DNC. They both are. And the problem is, unfortunately, with Tone and Yvette, I don't think they understand what they really got into. They basically fucked with kind of the wrong candidates. Had they knocked off candidates that, like, the Democratic Party would prefer not be there, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But they knocked off people that they really wanted to kind of be seen. And it's not about just knocking Kamala Harris off, because Kamala Harris was never going to get far. They knocked off a lot of future rising stars that they needed. The Democratic Party does not have a lot of rising stars in it. The Republican Party has a lot more. They have much more of a deep bench. So now they're an enemy. And in Tony and Yvette, I don't think they realize that till it's too late. And now they want to go back and beg for massa. But they know if they do that too hard, Tariq, Jason, and Professor Black Truth go be on their ass. And they have no protection as far as media protection. So it's easy to go at them hard, because they're on social media like everybody else. They're not in Mount Olympus where you could kind of mute that a little bit. Yeah, you're right. They don't have a backbone. Well, Evan Duncan has the lowest intelligence. Well, I mean, look, first of all, if anybody's played football, no, you can't be stupid. You cannot be dumb and play football. Like, let's not say people have lowest. It's not about intelligence. It's not. Like when come on, learning plays, doing what you cannot. Come on, man. I'm not even going to entertain that. But I get what you're trying to say, but I'm not going to entertain that. The baseball has the best union. NBA has a good one. What helps the NBA is really the fact it's less players. It's less players, so it's easier for them to hold the line. That's really the biggest difference. It's less players. They're in the NBA longer, and the people that are going to get paid are going to get paid. They can afford to wait a little bit. So it's just an easier dynamic. But make no mistake, the owners of the NFL or the NBA are trying to dilute that power. This is why they do the foreign shit all the time. Because they're trying to put players in there that's not going to be as loyal to that bottom line like that. I'm going to jump back to the top. I just want to go through y'all shit. Xanatos Clutch. Those covert racist whites are the majority in Boston, Washington corridor, which is the reason I moved from there. Okay, so Xanatos Clutch said something interesting. The reason, I'm going to tell you something. One of the reasons why I mention Xanatos a lot is because he serves as an example of somebody that is not, he's a good example of what I call a balance. And I'm not saying balance for balance sake, but I'm talking somebody with common sense. Okay, and I would argue a lot of SYSBM people, if you're going to be quote unquote SYSBM, he has a really good example. The problem with a lot of folks is they will always, as much issues as they have with the black community, whether it's righteous or not righteous, they will look to they will fall into what I call the one size fits all trap, or the anything is better than this trap, which means they'll turn their blinders off to fuckery everywhere else. And white people are very good about being coy. Other groups are very good about being coy as an individual. And what happens is dudes getting trusting those people and letting certain shit go. You see it with swirlers all the time, where they'll let white people call them nigga and think that shit's cute, and then wonder why shit goes downhill from there. Clutch doesn't do that. Like a lot of redneck, even though Boston people are not quote unquote redneck whites, but when it comes to white folks that's on that fuckery, he's not accepting fuckery from no. He's like, you're gonna treat me with respect. I'm not gonna let these Negroes treat me like I'm less than, and I'm not gonna let white people treat me like less than. You can do that without coming from I'm black and history and racism and that. You can do that without necessarily coming at it from a pro-black perspective. And the problem with a lot of SYSBM folks is it's like they don't do that. It's like they rather play themselves with white people than black people, because it's like they want to prove something to black people. Okay, fuck black people. But don't think if you're going out on your own you need to understand on your own there's a smart way to do it and a dumb way to do it. And you look at people to how they treat you. And I'm like that too. Like, I can turn the pro-black shit off. I can. But at the same time, I know white fuckery outside of being pro-black. And when I say know it, I mean I've seen it, but I look at people how they treat me, not just white fuckery, Hispanic, all of that shit. It's a competitive thing. And he's one of the few dudes that really does that and really talks about that. A lot of folks, you can always tell that they're leaning more towards wanting to be accepted by non-black people because they want to be a part of a group. Like, it's just they don't want it to be the black group. So they make exceptions there that they wouldn't have made for black people. And to me, that's hypocritical, and that's not necessarily conducive to creating a good outcome. Sanders also says that's weird. The covert racists are usually generally cool with Koreans and other minorities and nationalities who are known for hating blacks. Clutch, you know why this is as well as I do, because to the extent that people are going to talk about a competitive standpoint, white people know that white people know that if you're going to go out of your way to hate on blacks or have the same complaints they have, that they know you're down with white supremacy. And it doesn't have to be, no, I'm pro-black, so I got to carry the pro-black flag. But from a tactical point of view, understanding that allows you to know who you fuck. And here's the thing, this doesn't mean that you don't fuck with people, because there's certain people that it's going to be a mutual benefit for you to fuck with, even if they are covert racist. It's just knowing who you need to fuck with from a distance, who you need to understand that if it's opportune for them to turn on you, they're going to turn on you. The problem that I have with a lot of dudes is dudes be trusting motherfuckers, and you can tell because they adopt their mindset. So when I hear people say, well, the problem is we need to just link up with other races of men on the fact that there were men, and we don't need to like do this black male first shit. And I'm like, first of all, you can do both, and second of all, black men are not the reason why all men don't link up as far as having the same complaints from an American standpoint. The problem is other races of men still want to play the tribalism game or the racial division, and they don't want to have a baseline. They don't see that as important. Why do you think white men got to this point where their women can fuck the BBC and do all the shit that they complain about? It's because they never created that baseline, even to get some of the shit they wanted to get. Because contrary to popular belief, black men don't really care about fucking white bitches like that. We could say, look, we'll leave the white bitches alone. The Latin bitches are neutral ground, and if that's all it takes, to shut y'all the fuck up, a lot of dudes will be like, okay, we can like we'll leave the lily white bitches alone. Anybody that's mixed or Latin is on the table, and then whatever. Most black men would be cool with that. Like, because it's not that serious. If it meant that we could pretty much deal with a lot of these fucking male issues and get reform, I know I ain't saying everybody be cool with that, but a lot of people will be cool with that. Even the quote unquote black men that fuck with white boys. So anyway, going so anyway, yeah, absolutely, Archer. Yeah, the main reason you see black men fuck with white women a lot is for sexual access more than anything. I appreciate that. So Clutch agrees with what I said. So because I don't like putting words in people's mouths, and then they be like, I didn't say that shit. But yeah, that's why I mentioned him, because if you're gonna have, in my opinion, an SYSB in my, and I'm not trying to shout out to Mad Bus Driver, whatever, it is what it is. I'm just saying that's a good model, and I'm not talking about a model from a pro black perspective, but a model from a you creating outcomes from yourself perspective. Again, there's a difference between fucking with somebody individually, because if you're somebody that has skills and resources, a white person gonna fuck with you. But at the end of the day, they always default to how they default. There are exceptions to that rule, but trust is a very important thing. And I'm not saying you trust black men. So trust is a very important thing, even if you're dealing with black men. We already know how black men are. So folks, black people, black men in particular, give their trust away too much because it's like they want this, they just don't like it from here. But they still look for it in other ways. Black men do it, black women do it. Anyway, back to my topic. My point is, when it comes to fucking dealing with these chicks, all these women are not worth taking out on a date. You're talking to somebody that I will take a woman out that I will never have any intention to fuck. But if I'm trying to deal with her from a business standpoint, and I'm talking about for real, not no probe her brain or anything, but it's something value she can bring to me, I will take her out. I will take her out, dude. But for the most part, like we talk about women, I will take her out and I won't think nothing of it. Not no wine and dine, but I spend $30, $40. That interpersonal relationship, especially if it's a business, a mutual benefit to that. It has nothing to do with me, and I'll pay for it. Nothing to do with me being cheap. It has everything to do with the value. And let's keep it real. Most of these females, when it comes to just conversation, they ain't got nothing to talk about. They ain't got nothing that's worth me really sitting there for like an hour. And y'all know I like to talk. So as far as me taking somebody out, and let's be clear here, I take women out. And when it comes to a conversation, we're having a real conversation that's actually worth it from the conversational perspective. Let's keep it real. We only take these women out because we're trying to fuck. If you knew, the question every dude should ask themselves is, if you knew you were not going to fuck, would you take this bitch out? And the answer is 90%, 95% no. Regardless of race. Regardless of race. I'd say 90, let's say 85%. Let's say 80%. 85%. No. And this is from all the niggas that talk about that people are complaining. These will be the very dudes that'll say, well, man, if I take them out, we gonna fuck. No, I'm just saying, if you knew you wouldn't, would you? Because it's not about your game, it's about her value. And then you gotta look at where we are today. I said it like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago on Black Ram's thing in the comments in the chat, and he mentioned it. I said dating is simping now. And it is, because the problem is when you look at the intention behind why most men do it, it's like you're only doing it because you want to fuck the bitch. You're not doing it because you give a fuck about really having a real relationship or really potentially qualifying her. You're doing it because you're trying to fuck. And the reality is, you might as well set the bar that, okay, if bitches are not gonna fuck me without that, I'm not gonna fuck with them. And the problem is, people want to say that is being cheap. No, that's not being cheap. Now, there's some dudes that are dusty like that, but a lot of them dudes that are dusty like that will fuck a fat bitch. Like, it's funny. Niggas will never assume that. Why do you think so many black men fuck fat bitches? Because you don't gotta take fat bitches out to eat like that, like that. If you a dude that's you in decent shape, like you're not obese and you're in decent shape. I ain't even talking about in decent shape. I'm just talking about like, you ain't fat or you ain't really overweight. And you like five, like 8, 5'10", whatever. I mean, you ain't gotta feed these bitches, because at the end of the day, they're tricking on you. People act like they don't know why dudes be doing that. And dudes, this is what dudes do. And this is how you know when people say you like what you like. This is why I say it's bullshit, because you can create an attraction for certain people. When people try to act like they don't like what they like, oh, I don't like women with kinky hair and this. No, you can create that if you really need to, if you have values behind why you want to do that. Think about it. Most of these niggas that talk about they like big bitches, they're fucking liars. If you put a fat chick up against a chick, the same chick that's like in shape, they're not choosing the same amount of work to get both. They're not choosing a fat chick. We know this. But they will literally get on here with you and try to convince you that that's what they fucking believe. Right. So when you hear, come on. So when you hear people talk about you like what you like and all that, a lot of that shit's bullshit. They just don't know it is. But my point is, this idea of you taking somebody out and it's just because you're cheap. That's not, number one, you're not helping women. Odds 1 million per player tournament. NBA tournaments. NBA tournaments is fucking stupid. But anyway, why would you do that? And that's what kills me with a lot of people, because they try to make everything well, the problem is you got all these dudes that are cheap and broke. And then no, the problem is these females have basically polluted the dating pool by fucking 20% of dudes and then bitching. And now we want to call those dudes complete men. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. This is why they're bitching. This is why their kids out here not being taken care of. A lot of them. This is why you have a 42% like gap, and then 33% are married. You can't then say most of that is, niggas are just too cheap. That's not what it is. They're getting boxed into a market, and what's happening is a lot of these dudes are starting to hop more. So they're getting squeezed from multiple directions. So the question is, the value of pussy is low. Don't believe me. Glenn and Cameron's dude's millionaire, 6 foot, all of that. He believes in game. He believes in the complete man thing. And he's even saying pussy is an all-time low. So why would you pay for it? Because here's the thing. When you go out on a date, you are giving, it's not even about the money. It's about the fucking time. This is what people don't understand. Fuck the money. It's the time. Like, seriously. And when you really analyze your time, you can't go out on a whole bunch of dates. Think about that. Like, if you want to fuck the type of bitches you want to fuck, or the amount of women you want to fuck, you can't just be taking everybody out on a fucking date. There's not enough time to do that, especially when people are working with people out here grinding. And you know how much it takes to get ready, to go on a date, to get there, to be there. This is assuming you don't got an itinerary like Obsidian talks about. That's some courting shit. And these women are not on that. And here's the thing. For anybody who wants to say, oh, I'm just saying that because I'm complaining. Niggas that fuck a whole bunch of women are not taking bitches out on dates. Let's just filter for the top 10%. Not talk about famous people, but just the top 10% of dudes that get pussy. You think Jason Pope is took the bitches he was fucking on dates, or the top 10%. These dudes are not taking these women out on dates. These dudes are not wanting and dining these people. These dudes are basically going to a hotel, going where they need to go, doing it, and it is over. Like, seriously, show me anybody that's out here whining and dining female. I'm talking about, and keep in mind, we're talking about for sex. We're not talking about for if you're getting to know, you're really looking to, get into a relationship. We're talking about for sex. You show me anybody that's winning. I'm talking about the people that they have zero complaints, the same niggas that actually can legit show. You think Minister Jap is taking bitches out on dates like that? We're not even talking about escorts. We ain't talking none of that. We're just talking about the dudes that are winning. 10%, 5%. You think these niggas are taking these bitches out on dates? Like one-on-one. They may go and party, but they're not taking these chicks out one-on-one dates. Like, can anybody disprove that? The only time whether a man is the main reason if a man actually is taking a woman out on a serious date is because he's looking at her to potential court. These real housewife bitches that don't know how to act, don't know how to talk, these sophisticated ratchet hoes, ain't nobody really taking them out like that. Not really. And what happens is you gotta do they like, oh, if you got it like because one of the things that was said is it's like, well, if you got it like that, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. That's some shit women like to say too. But here's the thing: if you got it like that, you not paying in money. You paying in the commodity that no matter how rich you are, that commodity you can't get back, and that's time. This is why it's so hard to get a hold of somebody. If somebody's rich, unless you know them, you can't get a hold of them. You got to go through people to get a hold of them because you got to be filtered out as to if it's worth your time. And pussy has the least amount of value it's ever had, right? It's so people are not only not willing to pay money for it, they're not willing to pay time for it. Now people could say, okay, you got a whole bunch of dusty niggas, but guess what? Dusty, like a lot of these dudes, like these spam inbox dudes, the shit works if you're willing to be shameless about it. But the truth is, nobody, whether you're a dude that's got means, whether you're a dude that's got economic, what I call genetic value, meaning these women are just willing to drop it. Ain't nobody fucking wasting time with these chicks. Nobody's doing that. Like even a dude that let's say a dude has a 75% hit ratio when it comes to him taking the check out on the date. That dude is gonna try to he's taking women out on dates in order to put women in his stable so he don't have to do so later on. So if one chick ain't fucking, another one will. And that's some shit I would dare somebody try to refute. And when you hear all these get the bag females, this is a fact that a lot of the April Mason, the Cole Michelle, these are facts. Shira Sevens, they think that they can fill. Here's the thing that they'll try to say. They'll try to say you need to have standards. So if a dude is not willing to take you out, then you should give him the time because he's dusty. Well, first of all, you don't know that he's dusty. Second of all, it could be that he's evaluating you and you're not worth the what I call like I make outbound calls. And when I make outbound calls, um my first call, the objective is not to close the sale. The objective is to qualify them. So when I make an outbound call, I tell them who I am. I'm telling them why I'm calling. First question is, from 1 to 10, how interested are you? And this is a lead that I've demonstrated that's already been through some ringers before they even get a hold of me. And then they tell me, I say, why are you looking for blah, blah, blah? And then they tell me, and if they're not giving me the type of answers that I need to get, that conversation is being in quickly. It's just like with anybody when you do a meeting to see if it's a good fit, because you don't have time to be wasting on people that's not serious. And then you look to see, then you break off that conversation, even if it goes well, and you see if, and when I send them information, I see what they're gonna do with it, how long it'll take to look at it. I mean, shit happens, but you can tell who's bullshit and who's not, when people are serious. Yada yada yada. you know, and it's the same thing with women. So when women always, and I've seen people in real life, oh, I can't believe you take me out. Well, what are you talking about? Because the reality is you expect this like template. Oh, I'm taking you to a nice restaurant. Bitch, fuck you. I don't know you. I don't fucking know you to be doing that. That's like me. Like, are you serious? It's the same thing reverse. Like, if I'm sitting there trying to close $1,000 deal, you think somebody's just gonna automatically see my ad and think they gonna drop that? No, they gotta see me, get a hold of me, see if I got the goods as far as showing them what the fuck I say I'm gonna show them. It doesn't work that way. Well, if you got it like that, okay, even if I got it like that, I don't have time to be wasted. I mean, how many bitches you think I can take out on a date from a time standpoint? I can't take multiple y'all out at the same time. This is why a lot of niggas, even niggas that get a lot of pussy, they love clubbing. Because you can deal with a whole bunch of shit. You see, people don't think about that shit. When you go to clubs or go to parties, guess what? You can move from bitch to bitch to bitch to bitch to bitch. You can deal with multiple bitches at the same time. I bet you that's why Jap likes doing it. That's a very practical way of doing it if you know you can close for whatever reason. But people don't think about that. Nobody thinks about that. They're thinking about, oh, but you're just gonna take me out and butter me up, and then all of that, knowing good and well that if you nowadays that if you really wanted to fuck, we wouldn't be doing this. You can pretty much assume that if a woman, like, unless you know, like, it's like 10% of women that operate outside of this, but you know the women I'm talking about. If they sit here and they trying to make you jump through the fucking ringer, and if you know you evaluate a female saying the only reason I'm here to fuck, and they trying to have you do all this shit, you basically getting put in the trick bag. And that's what a lot of dudes are starting to reject. And people are saying, well, it's because dudes are broke and dusty. Okay, you can say that, but the reality is you're not gonna shame dudes in the dropping bread for no bitch. I mean, seriously, you just not. The dudes that are true incels are gonna check the fuck out anyway and do what the fuck they do. The dudes that don't have to pay are not gonna pay. I don't understand how this strategy is gonna convince anybody of doing shit, because that's not really what created the market in the first place. The market, what dudes are doing is really a reaction to the change in the game. It's in reaction to women just giving up pussy for free to dudes that they basically deem has economic value, and then later on they're trying to get the quote unquote no genetic value, and then later on they're trying to get the economic value. One thing that was said in that video was talk about men of means, and I get what Jason's talking about. He's basically talking about 1% type dudes, like really 5% to 1% type dudes economically. But outside, but first of all, women are not going to get a lot of women are just not going to get those dudes, period. And one thing is, when Jason used to ask these women, what is the most expensive, what is the most economically producing dude that they've ever been with? And usually it's a dude, it's like a dude, it's rarely a dude that's made 100,000. It's like a dude that makes 70 or 80. These women are not really having access to these dudes like that. And this is why you hear them bitching about colorism all the time, because the ones that can, they're being out competed against. Not because, yes, these dudes like what they like, but you're not giving them any reason to think about anything different. You're not. And you think that you should get the right of first choice or first refusal, and that shit doesn't work that way. So when that shit gets flipped, people get mad. I mean, I've seen women that are fat. I've seen women that are like fives or fours. Really expect they supposed to be like. I've seen women, dude. I've seen women. It's like, you really believe that? Like, you really believe that you think you, and they really believe that exactly. And I'm not saying consciously this is what a lot of dudes are thinking about, but subconsciously this is what um this is what a lot of people are thinking about. A lot of women are not worth taking out on dates. A lot of women, if you really compare their numbers to like women even in the 90s, keep in mind the 90s was after the 80s where women were wilding the fuck out. These women are prostitutes. Would you take a prostitute out on a date? Okay, you're taking women out that have almost similar body counts. That's why I said dating is simping. Because if you look at the intent behind it, And the thing is, people want to say, well, man, there's no, most of these women are operating like this. Most of these women got like two or three niggas they fucking for free. And these are not producing ass niggas. These just niggas that are just there. You know, when white women say they hook up, hook up, hook up, they're talking about they fuck. They make it like they're giving a hug to somebody. Oh yeah, I hooked up with him and we hooked up, we hooked up. You fuck. That's what they're talking about. And if you and people like don't think about it because they use the term hook up, so you don't think about it like that. But when you really you remember that's what the fuck it is, you like yeah they talk about that like they just shaking hands. So it's not just black women, but it is what it is. And so I just wanted to make that point because it does. Here's the thing: it doesn't help saying oh well these dudes do this because they're dusty. Okay, but the dudes, but number one you can say that, but you still gonna want dick, and the dudes that you want dick from ain't paying either. So you're not gonna convince dudes to basically give up their time and their money when they know they not fucking. You do better. You do better fucking the dude and then saying, all right, we can go out. You do better doing that. And and dudes are gonna be a lot more honorable about that. Saying, all right, bitch, you fucked me good. I'll take you and get something to eat. Like for real. Yeah, some dudes are gonna do some bullshit, some alpha male strategy type shit. But a lot of dudes wouldn't do that. You can trust dudes to actually take you and feed you if you fuck them good as a reward, a lot more than you can do in reverse. Trust women in reverse. And then most people are like, well, I'm not that type of bitch. Shut up. You're not that type of bitch for me. And that's fine. You're disqualified. It's really that simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a man, just like as a woman, you have the ability to qualify me. As a man, I have the ability to qualify you. And women, and you notice when Obsidian was really talking about that shit, a lot of these females didn't like that shit, but they didn't know how to articulate that. They would just say, oh, well, a lot of women ain't gonna like it. It doesn't fucking matter what they don't like. Because at the end of the day, this is what the fuck I'm doing. You either on this bus route or you not. It's that simple. And what they fear is they fear dudes getting comfortable with that because once you do that, it's no longer about the buyer, it's about the seller. It becomes a seller's market at that point. And women are always going to emotionally reject that because that doesn't benefit them. It has nothing to do with the logic. So anything they say, you just have to filter it through, well, does this make logical sense? Of course it does because it doesn't benefit them. So they're going to try to cobble together logic that makes sense. Oh, always love these losers that come in here and say stupid shit. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Let's see. Clutch says, as for banging white chicks, American white women are among the least of my desires. I'll go to the source when I desire. I can go in all day for the right price. Yeah, man. I mean, if I'm gonna deal with Caucasian women, I need them to be like sprinkled with something. Like I like Mediterranean females. If I'm gonna go that route, you know, I need to know if I ask you what you are, you need to know what the fuck you are, not know I'm just white. Ask a white woman. So what are you? What's your ethnicity? I know you're white, but what's your ethnicity? If they act like they don't know, I don't like that shit. You're right, Archer. Young girls don't like dinner dates. So what are we really talking about when we say a date? That's another thing. Have we even had that conversation? That would be a good stream. What constitutes a date nowadays? Because people are thinking dinner and a movie. Motherfuckers don't know what to do with that shit. Dinner and a movie. People are not doing that. To keep it real, you do better going on a group like dinner date if you're gonna do all that and probably get more mileage out of that. And it'd be least expensive. These bitches don't respect that shit. They putting you in the simp category automatically. So what are we to hell? I could argue Netflix and chill is a date in today's era. So what are we really talking about? See, that's not something too. That's never been really established. That's a good point, Archer. Archer, that's true. They do like easy pussy. Yeah, Elaine, yes. A lot of them dudes like Bruce, Biggie, all that shit. That's economics. That shit like that's charisma. But a lot of women, Archer, people talk about escorts and shit, but there's a lot of women that attempt girls, and like they don't like they. It's like they do it in secret. Like it's getting more and more to the point where people getting in the open. So remember, when more people get in the open about that cam girl shit and all that shit, then you're starting to see more and more people that are starting to move into that other slot where they're doing it half and half. I know people that are lawyers and shit like that that's doing that shit on the low. Like they may not do it all the time, but when they really, really need the money, damn, you couldn't get like you couldn't get like 2,000 hits. It's not. I mean, it's not even about that because look, man, I'm not a cheap person when it comes to shit like that because I care about my experience too. But at the same time, man, I'm not. I'm gonna enjoy myself. If we gonna go out, I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm not taking somebody out that I gotta fucking perform for. If I think I gotta perform for you, then it's not happening because I'm not auditioning for no bitch. I'm just saying that like that. Yeah, man. But if you just a man, the woman gonna magically do what they gonna do. Well, I mean that may be true, but at the same time, look at their outcomes. Is their outcomes conducive? If you look at most of these women that do the most bitching, like later on, if you look at all of the motherfuckers they fucked with in their history, is that conducive that they knew what to fucking do when it came down to it? We always get one motherfucker doing stupid shit down by the riverside. It's always one troll to come in here and think it's cute. It is price gouging. And a lot of y'all ain't never really seen price gouging. They love doing that with gas out in North Carolina when they get the chance. They'll be trying to do $8 a gallon. I'll be like, y'all don't stop. Be the fucking Nigerians. Dude, ain't even no point in mentioning his ass. I ain't gonna lie though, he got drugged during the damn rumble though. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like it's not. At the end of the day, man, this is what women are not understanding. What women are not understanding is they got this thing called a vagina, and they basically throwing it at everybody. What they and getting ran through by whatever dudes they want to get ran through. What they're not understanding is there's a cost to doing that. That's no different than like that's gluttony. That's no different than an addiction. Women are not built to be running through a whole bunch of dudes like that. What happens is, once they come out of the other side of that, now they want to retire. They think of marriage like retirement. And this is and Jason Black threw a lot of women under the bus when it came to whole life. It was mainly about that. So this is not me really kind of throw what he said under the bus. It's just when you hear people act like when people try to front they don't understand why shit. They know what it is. They just trying to wait for you to be sympathetic. I'm be like, I know, you know. I don't even know why you bullshitting. Yeah, Evan Duncan. Am I lying? I know. I just came up with that. I just yeah, that is a good one. But yeah, it's fucking retirement. I mean, is that not how these women look at it? Did Kim Kardashian not retire with Kanye West? Did Sierra not retire um with Russell Wilson? And then what happens is they try to come out of retirement for like Jordan did and have one more season of Thotton. Shit, that's that you take that title to fucking Ramil. He'll do some, and Fantastic. They'll do some shit with that shit. Hell, that's a LAR video right there. That's a fucking Rumble video. But is that not true? I knew if I talked for an hour, I say so. I just said two good things this stream. Anyway, you know what? I'm gonna end the video on that. We're gonna end it on a high note. This is a good hour. In fact, I should retitle this video. Is marriage retirement? Is marriage that that's to get the bag. That's to get the bag click right there. That's all you need. What do I need to know about to get the bag females? They trying to teach you how to retire by marriage. Anyway, with that being said, appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like the video. 60 folks listening. Edward signing off. Peace.